Hit record. Let's do it. Oh, people are still joining. Me trying to be punctual and all. So welcome everybody. My name is Katarina. So I am your host of the series Entrepreneur vs. Intrapreneur, a interview series with people who do both. I should have been in marketing, honestly. I know, right? It's like making cereal, like how to make cereal look sexy. I don't know. So I also own two businesses. I am also in network marketing. I also have my own startup company. But today we are here to interview this spectacular woman, Lorena Higgs. She is an absolute little powerhouse. She is still in her 20s. So in the big scheme of things, she is getting in so early, building her life, actually making decisions to move her life forwards. And she doesn't come from necessarily an entrepreneurial background. So I'm really interested to hear about where Lauren's come from, how she got into the fashion industry. So if you don't know, Lauren actually has a label called Lorena, the label. It is amazing. It's still in its absolute infancy. So I think it's still not even 1 year old yet, is it, Lauren? About to turn one. Okay. It's about to turn one. I actually own some of her clothes. This is not Lorena, but this was the closest Lorena-ish vibe that I had in my wardrobe. So she's all about these like beautiful neutral colors, just like really comfortable, but like still high-end fashion clothing. I just love what she's doing. So let me quickly read you a little bit about Lauren before we get started. So 3 random facts about Lauren. She's actually a national model. Okay, look at her. She's gorgeous. Representing Cairns for Maxim 2 years in a row. She was Miss Hawaiian Tropic and the Face of Origin. That is awesome. I don't even know what that is, but it sounds huge. She's also an online fashion model. So she's worked with brands like Beginning Boutique, Lounge Underwear, Riderwear, also Skyrail Cairns, Culture Kings, The Grass is Greener in Cairns as well. So she's been in multiple catwalks, photo shoots, and magazines, and she's actually Italian. I love Italian food. This is probably why we get along. I love that European culture. So Lauren has been in business only for a very short period of time. And sometimes I think there's a lot of value in speaking to people who are still at the beginning of their journey. So I've been in business now for 9 years. I've been self-employed for, I think, 7 of those 9 years. So when you speak to me, you get a very different version from somebody who's just leaving, sort of slowly leaving, being employed by somebody else, as well as running her own business. So Lauren joined a network marketing company in 2018 and opened Lorena very shortly after, in the middle of the pandemic in 2020. So she's been in business for almost 3 years in total and has done so much in that time. It's something that I'm constantly saying is acknowledge how far you've come. Otherwise you will burn out so quick and you won't be able to create your dreams. So Lauren's core values and beliefs around business are about working hard, having a plan, and setting smaller goals towards the big one. And when I asked for anything that she sort of wants to share, she said that you can literally start with nothing and build something out of it if you're willing to work hard and never give up. And I just think that is your motto, Lauren. That is so perfect for what you're creating and what you're building. So I'm really excited for you to be able to share, a little bit about your journey and perhaps help somebody else that maybe is wanting to start a fashion line or is wanting to start a shoe range or a line of handbags and just really, really doesn't know where to start. So with that, feel free to unmute yourself, Lauren. You're the guest of honor here. Feel free to chime in at any time. I'm going to start you off with the first question, which is, tell me a little about how you got into business. So what were you actually doing before you started your first business?
So before my first business, I was actually working in retail, juggling multiple jobs. So yeah, in retail, it's a little bit all over the place. But yeah, juggling, I think it was like 2 or 3, might have been 3 even, casual retail jobs at the time. So I was just, kind of overburning myself out and working literally 7 days a week. Like I was driving, to and from town twice, every day. And it was a lot, but
did you ever want to run a business? Like when you were a little girl, did you ever have a dream of, oh my God, I really want to do a fashion freaking empire? Or was retail sort of it? Like, was that your base level or was that a stepping stone for you in the beginning?
Definitely a stepping stone. I didn't, like when I was really young, I just knew I wanted to work for myself because I'm just very independent and I don't like people telling me what to do. So
you seem to be with these interviews.
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to work for myself eventually, like that's the end goal sort of thing. But yeah, probably about, I think I was talking to one of my like really close friends, and we've been friends forever, and she said that I think her first memory of me talking about like a fashion line was probably like 8 years ago, which is crazy. So to have that, you know, as just like something to like, you know, thought about it to where it is now, even if it's, you know, just at the beginning, is crazy to see how far it's come already.
So even though you had this dream of a fashion line, do you reckon you chose retail as a job, like as a career, because of that, because you wanted to be around it? Or do you think that was maybe subconscious?
No, well, a bit of both. Like I love fashion, and I love all that kind of stuff, and retail obviously is like an easy sort of stepping stone to get to that point, and knowing like the back end of it, not even like, you know, dealing with customers and all of that sort of stuff that you have to deal with as a business owner, but you can learn in a retail job as well. So, you know, dealing with stock and all that kind of stuff as well in retail was definitely a good learning curve, and especially dealing with customers. Oh my gosh. Like learning how to deal with customers in retail is a really good learning curve.
It's interesting because I feel like a lot of the time people have these big dreams, like I want to have a fashion line, or I want to have a wine company, or I want to, you know, be paid to travel or whatever. But then they're not paying attention to what they're learning in their current situation. And I think so many of us have all these valuable opportunities to actually create a good base for us to stand on as entrepreneurs and as business owners. But perhaps we're constantly wishing for the future without taking lessons from where we are in the present.
Yeah.
It seems like you were pretty conscious, like you were aware that, okay, I'm in fashion. How does this work? What can I learn from here? What can I implement? And I know when I started Why Not, I implemented basically everything that I learned from network marketing. So I was like, okay, they're very different business models, but I like the client care aspect. I like how there's incentives. I like actually incentivizing the staff. And I sort of flow a lot of what I've learned through one business into the other. Do you
Definitely.
find that having that, so retail was one aspect, but do you find having a network marketing background helped you move into Lorena?
Definitely. It like when in retail, like you obviously work with the team, and then in network marketing, obviously you're with other people as well that are doing the same thing, but technically you were by yourself doing this business. Like if you don't work, it doesn't work. So doing it definitely sort of taught me how to work that little bit more independently. And yeah, basically that.
Interesting. Do you know what I find interesting about like going from a like employee mindset to starting your first business, whether it's entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship? It's the different mindset status. So I remember when I used to work in the public service, you get paid regardless, right? Like you show up, you get paid, you have certain leave, like you kind of take advantage of that. Well, I used to totally take advantage of the system. But then when you work for yourself, there is no leave, there is no holiday pay, there is no like, can't be fucked today, but you still get paid. Like you have to keep showing up. But the benefit is if you want something, you have the power to make that happen, which I just got totally addicted to. I think that's why I am addicted to business now, because when you touch something, more often than not, it works. Even if you have to touch it 700 times before it works, but when it works, it works.
Yeah.
You find that moving from working at retail to starting your first business and then your second?
Yeah, definitely. Like it's definitely a change of mindset thing. Like you have to be able to work when someone is not telling you to work. Like you have to be able to be like, okay, I have to do this today, I have to do this today, I have to do this today. Even though I have like a million other things, I have to do these today, otherwise they won't get done. Like I won't have someone on my back telling me what to do. Like I have to be able to have like what's the word? The power to do it yourself. What's that word?
Right?
Yeah. That one. Yeah. You have to have the drive to be able to do it yourself and not have someone telling you what to do. Because if you have someone telling you what to do, like you're not taking control of your business. It's
Well, it'll never go anywhere, will it? Because I feel like, so entrepreneurship, especially, it's an idea that comes out of your brain. Like there is no one that's going to do it better than you. This is what I've learned through my wine companies. Where I keep hiring people, hoping that they'll like help me. And they're just a burden. Like they're just awful every single time because no one can do it better than I can. And it's frustrating, but I think entrepreneurship, it's dreamers who can take action. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe that should be the new definition of entrepreneurship. Dreamers who can actually take action.
Yeah.
In your instance, you didn't have to take action. So you were already in a retail job. Lorena hadn't been born yet. Why did you choose network marketing? Like, where does that come in the scheme of like your grand plan for life?
I felt like it was a really good stepping stone. Like I knew I eventually wanted to do like some sort of, my own business sort of thing. But yeah, I felt like there's just so many pros to network marketing, and like you learn so much in it that when I decided to open up or like start Lorena, I had so much sort of background knowledge on that sort of business sort of thing. It's like, yeah, it's obviously they're both two different things, but you learn, like I learned so much with network marketing and I'm still learning so much with it. So then, yeah, I can use that, like you said before, like with why not? Like you learn so much with it that you want to be able to implement that. And it was a really good stepping stone, like really good.
Mm. When you were initially looking at it, like what were the main opportunities that drew you into it? Like, was it the income or was it the fact that it was a business with guidance, or what was the biggest thing that when you were first looking at network marketing that you went, oh, that's interesting?
The first thing would probably be the money. If I'm honest, I'm such a money driven person, and I'm like, and if you work hard, then, money comes. And so, yeah, I first looked at that and I looked at the stats and everything and like a compensation plan and, how many different ways that you can earn income. And I was just like, why the hell not? Like I use all the products anyway. I may as well make an income from it as well. So yeah, it was, yeah.
What about when you actually got into network marketing? Like what was your experience getting started? Like what did you find some of the benefits were, maybe some of the challenges as well that maybe you didn't expect?
Benefits, definitely having the community around you and having someone to chat to that was in the same sort of mind frame and all that kind of stuff, like learning with you. And one of the downfalls is definitely consistency. Like you have to be consistent. Otherwise it won't work. But yeah, definitely having people around you that have like the same or like similar mindset helps so much. You have people to bounce ideas off and have a chat to that understand what you're going through because they're going through the same thing. So yeah.
I think it's so powerful. I feel like this week, I don't know, I feel like there are like universal themes. Sometimes something happens and then you hear the same message over and over and over and over again. You're like, okay, clearly I need to pay attention. For me this week, it's been about that peer group. So I was watching this live, I do a Tony Robbins course. And so I'm in this Facebook group. And so some of the coaches and the trainers, they go live in there regularly. And this week was all about the peer group. And I used to think that your peer group is the people around you because everyone always says, the 5 people surrounding you, you become the average of that. And I was like, okay, that's your peer group. But what I've learned is that there's a difference between your friends and family and the people that surround you and your chosen peer group. And where I think network marketing shines, if you're in a good company with a good culture and a great team that has consistent values, is you can choose people to be your peer group. And your peer group, the difference between the friends and family and the peer group is that your peers are people that you actually want acknowledgement from. You want to impress them. They have that similar mindset, but they're not necessarily like friends. Ultimately, you want your friends and your family to also be your peer group. But your peer group are people that are doing things that you aspire to do, that you're all moving forward together. And it's like this common energy, this common momentum, but you also want to take constructive criticism from your peer group. So that's what I learned. I was like, oh shit, like, okay, who have I chosen as my peer group? And I actually wrote a list of all the people. And then I compared it to my friends and family because I used to feel a lot of pressure for my friends and family to like get on board my train and be like, dude, support me, like buy my shit, like know where I'm going, like be okay with me wanting to be a millionaire. Like I had all of these goals that my friends and family were just not, they're friends and family, they're not gonna be my biggest supporters in the world, but my peer group, when I really looked at who was backing me and who I brought into my life, maybe consciously, maybe not, they were the people that made the difference. Like, they're the people that I call when I'm stuck. They're the people that give me better ideas. They're the people that tell me that I can do better. And even though I hated my friend at the time for saying that, she was like, you're not living up to your potential at all. And at the time I was like exhausted. I've been working for days and weeks and I was so shitty at her. But then 2 years later, looking back, I was like, she was absolutely right. I wasn't working hard at all. I was going out every night. I was like drinking away my sorrows. Like, I was not focused. I was working, but I wasn't focused. And she called that out because she was my peer group.
Yeah.
So it makes a massive difference. Hey, and network marketing is one of these unique cultures that has an inbuilt peer group, which I think is so unique.
Yeah. I totally agree with everything you just said. Totally agree.
So what about some of the challenges? So you mentioned consistency. How do you feel though about, so now you're going to get to a stage soon, ready? I'm excited to ask you this question now and then in like 2 years, when you start to employ people for Lorena, right? And when you start to notice the mentality and the expectation around income coming in, what I found is that being an employee, you just expect the income to come in. When you're an entrepreneur, so when you're an intrapreneur, I think there's still a bit of expectation. I don't understand why, because you wouldn't not show up to work and still expect to get paid. But in intrapreneurship, people do not show up and still expect to get paid. Weird. But in entrepreneurship, when you start paying people, you again understand that cyclical value of money. So has your money mindset or expectation of income changed since you started Lorena?
Yeah, definitely. Like, at the moment now, like, I'm still working, but I'm working towards putting money into my business to get it further ahead, to eventually be able to work for myself. So like, before having my like businesses, I was just working. I was like, oh, I can use that money to just go out for dinner one night, or just go out to movies, go out in town, like, whatever. I wasn't really thinking about where the money was going. But now I'm like, well, if I work this day, then I can buy this for this, and then I can move that bit forward to be able to, so in the process, at the moment, I'm in the process of organizing stuff to do a pop-up shop here in Cairns. And so I, last week pay, I literally bought, signage. I was like, yep, that's signage for the front of the pop-up shop. And then, yesterday I bought some bags. I was like, oh, I did like an extra 3 hours there. Then I can be able to buy bags for people to be able to, pack it in for people to be able to take it away from the pop-up shop. So like my money mindset definitely changed when I started the businesses. It went from spending it on myself to spending it on my business for my future self.
So true. It's like future thinking versus immediate thinking. I used to do that too, actually. When I worked in the public service, I just had so many clothes. I had so many clothes. I never wore any of them. I just had so many clothes because to make myself feel better every payday, I would buy something, and it would do nothing for my life at all. And now I'm like exactly like you. I know everything that's coming. I'm like, all right, if I want to spend this on grapes or this on bottles, or if I want to spend this on a marketing agency, then I need to make X. Like, I'm very big on, you don't save money, you just make more. Like, you find any way or reason to make more money to invest into the things that you want. So we bought a boat recently. And here's how I justified it. I was like, okay,
so jealous, by the way. I'm coming to the Gold Coast and I'm jumping on that boat.
So much fun. So much fun. But I bought it as a business tool. Ready? Here's how I justified it. I need to have like a couple of different ways before I buy anything at all ever. Like, I always have to have reasons for spending money, because I'm like you now. Every time I spend money, it better make me money back. So number one, we're not traveling. So I was like, all right, mental health is important. If I'm not traveling, I will go insane working from home, because you're in the same space all day long and you can go literally crazy. So I'm like, a boat is good for mental health. It gets you outside into nature, disconnected. Number two, if I brand the boat, then it becomes a business expense. So now I can tax deduct it, and that's good for, tax purposes. But also it's promotion for my business, which is great. If I sell wine on the water, now I'm offering an extra service and I can actually make money while I'm out on my boat. So yesterday I calculated how many wine pouches I need to sell to make my boat a write-off completely. And I was like, that's my goal. I just need to sell X amount of wine pouches. Yeah. And then free boat. Why not?
That's so good. I love that.
So everything though, treat everything like that, like the apartment that I live in, like the car that I drive, like every single thing that I do, anywhere that I go, everything I touch has to make me money in some way or another. And I think that's come from this business mindset, right? Oh, Courtney, your husband wants a boat. Yes, think of it as an investment. There are ways to make money on a boat. Think of the services you can offer. Think of the tax deductions. Think of the branding. Think like family time. It's the best thing ever.
I'm just thinking of the extra maintenance and the extra work that's going to get involved, going to be involved in looking after the boat. But anyways, maybe I need to change my mindset.
Here's my mindset on investment into cars, boats, things like that. Buy brand new. Yes, it depreciates quickly. However, when you buy brand new, if you only hold it for that like 3 years, 5 years, and then move on to something else, it's always going to be taken care of by warranty. So it doesn't matter what happens. It's always going to be taken care of by warranty. It's not ever going to be a risk to you. I never hold on to things past their warranty date. I get rid of them. I sell them. And what I do is in my head, I calculate. So if you have something, you bought it, it's depreciated, but you've sold it and you've made that money back, what's the gap? So this boat, when we sell it, especially if I make money back on it, but even pretending I'm not making any money on it, if I sell it and I've lost 10 grand on it, then I had a boat for 3 years that cost me $10,000. That's still a better investment than going and spending 10 grand elsewhere or not having a boat or losing money on it. Like that's how I look at things, is how much did it cost me after I've sold it? So where there's a will, there's a way, but that's really how I look at things. Chris, do you do the same thing with designer accessories? Yeah, you resell it. That's it. Like if you're holding on to things, that's a different mindset to when things are moving forward. Courtney's husband, we're backing the boat. Woohoo! Okay, Lauren, back to you. Let's talk about some of the challenges. So challenges of network marketing versus challenges of Lorena, the label entrepreneurship. What's the number one challenge that you found when you got into network marketing?
Being consistent, because I was also still working a lot at the time as well. Probably just being consistent. Other than that, like everything is pretty straightforward. Like everything is done for you. Like all the back end stuff that I've had to do for Lorena, it's all done. Like it's all done for you. So you just have to show up and do it. And that's it. So that was probably like just the one sort of main thing for me, being consistent. But for Lorena, it was literally like the amount of money that I've thrown into it to get it to where it is now. And I'm like just at the starting. So it's, being consistent or like 10 grand, like it's a lot easier in a network marketing business because everything's done for you from the back end, where Lorena, you have to start from like literally nothing. So
tell me about that. Tell me about the process. So the process of network marketing business is pretty simple. Like you find a consultant, you register, you get product, and then you just follow the steps essentially. And basically the steps are use the products, talk to people about the products. That's it. You're a walking billboard, the end. How you do that is up to you, in person, online, whatever. Like it's so simple.
Yeah.
But entrepreneurship, there is no manual for getting started. So tell me about your process. Like how did you actually go from Lorena was just a concept or an idea in your head to what was your first step?
First step was probably having the idea. You have to have some sort of like idea on what you want to do. But yeah, my first step was registering my business name, because I knew like my first thing, like it took me a while to decide on that name. I knew I wanted to have it something to do with me, like me personally, but I didn't want to have my name in it because I just didn't want to have my name in it. So Lorena is actually Lauren in Italian. So Lorena, the label, that's sort of, I said it one day, like I Googled it and I was just like, oh my God, like it's, the way it's written, it just flows really nicely. And it's like, it's my name, but not my name. And so, yeah, that was the first thing, was registering my business name to make sure that name doesn't go. And then I set up my socials. So I set up, Instagram, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. Those were the first sort of steps that I did to make sure that that name didn't go anywhere, and it was my name, and it was registered under me and all that kind of stuff. So that was the first sort of step. And then after that, it was basically gathering everything. So I was deciding, you know, like what my first collection would be, what I wanted to bring out, how many items, like how much stock of each item that I wanted to bring out, what I wanted to do with my labels, the sizing tags. The first collection of mine, I got them embroidered with Lorena on it for like obviously advertising as well, but I wanted to like, it was a Lorena jumper, so I wanted to like push that. So I had to organize embroiderer. You know, there's just so many things just to get that one collection. And then once I had the collection in my hand and I finished hand sewing on all those gold labels and I had the swing tags on and it was all ready, then I organized, you know, photographer, videographer. I also made sure I had my Shopify set up and had that all done. And then I had to add all the products to Shopify. And then I had to add all the photos when I got the photos back once they all been edited. And then after it was like all set up, ready for like launch day, then it was advertising. So I was like posting on socials, Instagram, Facebook, just absolutely blurring it out to everyone. So yeah, that was sort of like the process of the first collection. Obviously the second collection was a little bit easier because I already had the Shopify account there. I already had my business name and all of that sort of like done. But yeah, there's a lot to sort of just launch one thing, and there's like a million steps to get to the one thing. So it's a lot, but it's definitely like I learned a lot. Like when I started, I don't even think I heard of Shopify before. I was like, what's Shopify? And Lucy, my friend, she was just like, oh, like this is where you sell your stuff. Like this is the program to, you know, make you a website and like all that kind of stuff. So it was, I learned how to make a website and, you know, I'm in the process of learning how to get an FPOS machine. I'm looking at like Square to set up to link it to my Shopify to when I do my pop-up business and all that kind of stuff. So it's like there's just so many things to organize to do one thing.
And how did you decide what you were going to do on like by yourself versus what you were going to outsource? Like how did you make those decisions?
Basically from what I didn't know, I outsourced. So I tried to do like online e-commerce advertising myself, but I just didn't know how to do the back end of it. And I didn't have the time to learn how to do it either as well. Like it's so technical and there's just so many things with like, even just like Facebook ads, like there's just so many things that you have to, so I was like, well, I don't know how to do that. Don't have the time. I'll just, you know, work this many hours and then get them to do it. So that was the first thing that I like outsourced. And also I hired one of my friends, Lucy, so she helps me put on some tags and all that kind of stuff for my most recent collection because I just didn't have the time. So yeah, learning when to outsource is a good, I wanted to do it all myself and I wanted to be like, this is my brand, this is what I've done, but like you burn yourself out so quick, hey?
It takes forever. That's the major reason I reckon my wine label has taken this freaking long, because I'm like, I will do everything. Like my first wine collection, I literally went to vineyards, spoke to winemakers, and then figured out what like flavor profile I wanted. I couldn't just go with a normal wine. No, I had to custom make my own fucking flavor. So then we had to go out and buy grapes and decide where are we going to buy grapes from. And then we had to figure out what kind of unit it's going to be stored in. Like everything I touched, everything from bottles to labels to caps to colors to boxes to how much corrugation, like everything. And because of that, it's been slow as hell because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I've made so many mistakes. But saying that, when you're in the trenches like that, you learn so much. So much. You know where things can go wrong. You know how long it takes. You know where you can push the line a little bit. You know who to have conversations with. I'm best friends with ACT Liquor Licensing now because I knew nothing and I stayed on the phone until they answered all my questions and then I would call back. And I became so persistent that they knew who I was to a point where they wanted to help me, probably just to get me out of their inbox. I don't really care. But when you have those relationships through being on the ground, you know, it's a different feeling, isn't it? To just being like, nah, I've just paid somebody to do it and I don't really know how it works.
Yeah, it's definitely, and also that way as well, like you knowing how to do it as well before you hire someone to do it. Like if they do it wrong, you know that they're doing it wrong and like you're wasting your money with them. Yeah. And so, yeah, that was like teaching myself how to do Facebook advertising was absolutely like, I wasted like easy couple of grand on that. And I was like, fuck, like I could have just hired someone to do that for me. But now I sort of understand sort of how to do that. So then when someone does do it and I don't sort of get as many as, you know, as many results as I did by myself doing it, I'm like, oh, you're doing it wrong. Like, even though I don't know what you're doing it wrong because I got more and I don't even know what I'm doing. So.
Oh, so interesting. God, I love this conversation. Okay, so let's talk about, what do you think people don't know or over or underestimate that you wish you knew before you started either network marketing or Lorena?
I wish I saved more money before I started Lorena. Even though like it was just meant to be that I started when I started and, you know, no regrets, but I wish I saved more money. So then when I did start, I could start with a bang instead of just being like, just that little bit and then that little bit and then that little bit when I work more, because yeah, it just, I felt like I would have made a bigger impact quicker if I had more money to sort of back it up. But other than that, like at the time, like we were in lockdown, I had, you know, spare time to actually do shit. So I was like, got the time, let's do it. Like now I feel like now is the only time that I'm going to have free time. So yeah, no regrets starting it when I did. But if I did it again, I would definitely start saving 6 months earlier because, you know, August, you know, 2019, no one had any idea that we were going to be in a global pandemic. But, you know, if I did, I would have started saving then to be able to, you know, launch it with bigger impact than when I did.
It's always more expensive than you think, isn't it?
Oh my God.
I had no idea what was coming when I was starting the wine company. None. I was like, it'll be done in 2 months. It'll be super easy. You just buy wine, throw a label on it. Like getting a liquor license took 18 months. You just don't know these things.
Yeah.
You know, that's the major reason that I stay in network marketing as well as have my wine company. Like I have so much more fun with my wine company. It's more creative. I've obviously been doing network marketing for 9 years. It's super repetitive, but that's where the money is at to then be able to put into this. That's why you have to keep doing both. Like so many of our team and, you know, people I talk to want to do these businesses. So they stop the network marketing business. I'm like, dude, that's your cash flow. You just, you know, if you can just plug away at that, just repeat, you know, just keep doing that. That's the income to then be able to throw at the things you really, really care about. So I wish more people would stick with their network marketing business while they build their other business, because there's so much benefit here.
100%.
Okay. So what do you, I don't know, what should I ask out of these questions? Does anyone have any questions for Lauren? If you do, type them in the chat while I look at what I want to ask her next. Okay. What do you appreciate most about entrepreneurship? What's the thing you love most about building Lorena?
Definitely the creativity side of it. Like I'm able to create anything that comes into my head, which I think is pretty awesome. Like I just decide, you know, that's what I want to do. Like I haven't seen, you know, this style dress, or I haven't seen this out, so let's do that. Like where with network marketing, you sort of, that's like the products are there, which is fabulous because you don't have to do the back end to it, but that's what you sell. Like that's sort of it, where Lorena, I can create, you know, crazy things if I wanted to, and, you know, be totally okay with that.
I was falling asleep last night. I'm having real issues with all of my wine pouches exploding when I like send them in the courier. Anyway, so I'm like in this deep state of like, how the fuck can I fix this? Like, what kind of boxes do I need to make? Do they need to be bloody tin boxes? I've called my dad, who's a chemical scientist. Like, I'm trying to figure out these damn boxes. And I'm falling asleep last night and I was like, I've got it. I'm like, babe, like waking up. And I was like, circle boxes, round boxes, because you can't stack on top of a circle, so they're never going to break. And he's like, no. Hey. No, I'm like, yeah, it's the best thing ever. Circle boxes, then you put them in triangles inside. You can't stack them anywhere but on the top, so nothing's ever going to get on them. I'm like, this is the best idea ever. And then I kind of got excited, like, I'm like, I can do whatever I want. And then I was like, hang on a second, there's got to be a reason this is not being done right now. I'm like, they're probably not even going to take my fucking shipment. But I get it. Like the creativity side is a mint. The actually making that happen is harder.
Yes.
How do you actually go about that? So when you have an idea in your head and you're like, I want to make this dress, do you draw it? Like, do you have a designer? Like what, how does that work? I've actually always wondered how this works.
Yeah. So at the moment, I either sketch it out or I just like dot point all the details that I want with it. And I let it sit for probably like a couple of days, maybe a week or so. And if I still love the idea after, then I will make it myself. And then if I still love it, I'll send it to my manufacturer. And then he will take my sample and create, you know, different sizes and then the amounts of that design that I make.
You actually make it yourself?
Yeah. But my sewing machines.
Oh, so cool. And so is your manufacturer in Australia or is it an overseas manufacturer?
No, so he's in Bali. I looked at Australian manufacturers and they were so expensive. And I had gotten samples off this manufacturer in Bali before, and the quality of his stuff is amazing. And he was that little bit cheaper. So it was just a logical answer just to go with him because he knew what he was doing. He was that little bit cheaper and he's good at what he does. So
how on earth did you find some random man in Bali?
You know, it's so funny. Facebook.
Stop it.
I was thinking, I was like, where, like, I could go to China, you could go Philippines, you could go like, you know, I'm thinking of like places that would be that little bit cheaper, but like love what they're doing and like are passionate about it. So they'll put the effort in to make sure it's all perfect. And I was like, where do I know that? And then I was like, oh, like Bali's pretty good because Lucy, she used to have a manufacturer there. And I was like, you know, like, all right, let's see Bali. And so I'm literally part of like Bali pages on Instagram. So there's like a Bali, it's like a buy, swap, sell page that Balinese people post their stuff on. Oh, wow. And so I literally posted on that page and I was like, hey, I'm looking for a manufacturer. Does anyone know anyone? And I had heaps of messages, but yeah, finalized on this guy. And yeah, he's been really good. He's more expensive than what I thought, but his quality is good, so it's worth it, especially because he hand makes them all as well, so I'm able to advertise that as handmade as well, which is another selling point, compared to if I went to like through China. It would obviously be that little bit cheaper. Don't know if the quality would be there as well, and there would be like mass produced sort of thing.
I have this real like I get super nervous. I've kept all of my business in Australia. Every single thing of it is like local, mainly because I'm a massive control freak and I don't want like half my stuff to be over there and then half my stuff over there. Like I'm so old school in the sense that I want to see it. Like I want to see how many bottles of wine do I have? How many bottles do I have? What do they look like? If they're shit, I'm going to be standing in your reception being like, hello, you need to fix this problem. Like I'm such a like immediate control freak that I've always been so nervous. Even my boxes are so expensive because they're here. They're from here. But for me, that tangible connection so far has been so valuable. But my wine pouches right now, I can't afford to keep doing them. I'm making no money on them. So I need to find ways to do what you're doing, to find cheaper ways to do things without losing the quality. And it's like so scary. So thank God for you that you've actually got that figured out, because I know that's a huge challenge of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, it took a while and I had heaps of messages from people, but I got all of them to send me photos of their work, like not just like, you know, a full photo, but I wanted to see like their stitching of like how they stitch things and like, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like I wanted to see close-up details. And also a good point was that my manufacturer, he sends me fabric samples as well, which was really handy. I wonder if I have one here. So he sent me this and it literally has like a million different colors and like I can feel the fabric. I can see how thick it is, like all that kind of stuff as well. And they all have numbers. So when I, you know, wanted to make the dress or whatever, I'd be like, all right, I want this number one fabric in this color and make sure it was like the exact same thing. Like this is his sample, so he has this fabric in his shop, so I knew exactly what fabric he was using as well, which helped a lot. So yeah, that was a good tip. Like you could always, like if you find someone overseas, you can always just be like, I want samples of all of your like, I don't know, like the plastic they use or the caps that they use. And so you could do something like that to make sure it's exactly what you want before you buy 1,000 of them.
Yeah, that's the other thing. When you get into entrepreneurship, especially creating a product, it gets cheaper with volume. But then you have to commit to, like, I had to commit to tons and tons of grapes to get the bottles, and they're still so expensive. Like all of my product, my quality of what I make is so much higher than the cost of what I sell it for, which obviously is a huge issue that I'm trying to figure out. But then when you grow and all of a sudden you can order 50,000 of them, then the price drops dramatically and you start making profit. So it's like this game, isn't it? Figuring out like, where do you start?
Mm-hmm.
We have questions for you. Courtney's got 2 questions. Number 1, how and when did you learn to sew?
Well, my mum actually sews, and so does like all my Italian family. My mum used to make me like dresses, and so I have this like memory of like my mum made me, it was like a fairy dress, and then I had matching like doona cover, and then I also had a matching lampshade as well of like all the same print, all the same everything. So I sort of like saw my mum doing it, and you know, and also learning on the job as well. Like I used to just like grab fabric and just like try and make something out of it. Like I used to make when I did all the competitions, I used to make my own bikinis and stuff like that, but just literally starting off. And I remember the first stuff I used to make was absolute trash. Like it was so bad. And I'd used to like like for the bikinis, like one time I used a hot glue gun because I just like my sewing machine didn't work, and it was like literally starting off with like nothing, and just like, you know, next time I'd do like, okay, like I'll do, you know, some more stitching to make sure it doesn't fall apart, and like, you know, sew it differently this way, and just like having a play around with it, like actually doing it yourself is, yeah, you learn a lot when you like physically doing it. And yeah, definitely trial and error.
And the other question was, have you studied fashion or anything like that before?
No, I've actually never gone to university. I watched so many people I went to school with go to university and spend, you know, $100,000 on university and then never use their degree, or drop out halfway and then have a massive bill at the end of it. And I was like, nope, that's not what I want to do. And when I left school, I literally had no idea what I wanted to do. I was just like, I don't know, I'll just work until I, you know, something comes up, or, you know, I figure it out. And then, learning what I learned and learning on the job, I just like fell in love with it. And like being able to like create something out of like a random piece of fabric is pretty cool.
That's so cool. Oh, all right. Next question. What do you appreciate most about intrapreneurship?
Probably, the community is still like number one. Hey, like meeting you and like meeting everyone is just like, you definitely have friendships that like last a lifetime because they understand the hustle behind it as well. Like I used to have a few old friends that just didn't understand. They were like, oh, like I'd be like, you know, I can't go out to dinner because I have to buy this, or like I can't go out to town, I can't go get drunk because I want to be able to do this. Like I want to be able to sew a dress to, you know, take a photo tomorrow or whatever. And yeah, people understanding the hustle behind it definitely helps, and like having the community and having everything done for you is so handy. Like website is done for you, you've got, you know, all the legal stuff behind it, you've got, you know, the physical products all made for you, the packaging, the logo, like everything, like literally everything is done for you, and it is so handy. You just be like, here, buy this, that's it.
Agree. All right, so last question, my girl. You have been so fantastic. This has been so much fun. You are at this wealth of knowledge and passion and love, and I cannot wait to see where Lorena goes. But my last question is, what is your next goal? What is it that you're working towards?
At this very point, it's doing the pop-up shop. So yeah, organizing. I've literally have a list somewhere. I think it's out in the kitchen. But I literally wrote down a list of like everything that I need to be able to do this pop-up shop, and just like 1 or 2 a week, I'm just like ticking them off. So yeah, this week was buying the signage, getting new stickers, getting business cards, and then, you know, getting the bags and the labels on the bags and everything to be able to do the pop-up shop. And then next week is going to be buying the square and calling Square and organizing how to link it up to my Shopify. And so at the moment it's organizing this pop-up shop and getting it all ready and ready to just be able to do something in person as well, because until now, like, everything's been online, which has been great because I've been able to work from home, but I want to be able to advertise it that little bit more, and in person is just fabulous. So yeah, that's my next goal. And then after that, I'm not sure. Whatever comes into my head.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. And guys, thank you so much for being here. I will be sending out the replay if you want to watch it again, or if you want to send it to a friend. Then we have our next guest next week. I think, who is our next guest? We have Tash, who started off in network marketing and now she has her own real estate agency, which is so impressive. So she actually reached out to me wanting to be part of this series. So she's going to be our next guest. But Lauren, thank you. You are beautiful. You're amazing. You are an absolute inspiration, and we're all cheering for you. Guys, have a fantastic day. Thank you for being here, and I will see you on the next interview.
Thank you so much, Kata. Thank you. Bye.